Hey guys, how's it going? Just over here, I've got the new Orbea Rise in aluminium. And just over here, I've got the original gangster, the OG carbon Rise. So what I thought it'd be interesting to do is take a look at the new one, have a look around it, weigh it, see how it compares to this one just over here. Now bear in mind that the new Rise has a 540 watt-hour internal battery. The price point is lower, and this one comes with the internal battery, which is smaller, 360 watt-hours. But I've got the range extender on it as well, so we'll weigh it with and without. There we go, fully off the ground on the stand, no pedals, set up tubeless, and an impressive 19.8 kilos. That is not too bad. Now, gotta say, when I change that tyre there, it's gonna add on a few hundred grams at least, because I'm gonna put a double down tyre on the rear. So we're gonna talk around 20 kilos when it's got a double down on the rear. Obviously you add your pedal weight, but I always weigh bikes without pedals. But yeah, 19.8 kilos, fresh out the box. So for that to come in at 19.8 kilos, with a 540 watt-hour internal battery, which is by the way the same as like a YT decoy, it's the same battery capacity as something like that. 19.8 kilos, super light bike. So next what we'll do is we'll put the original carbon Rise in the scales. It comes with a 360 watt internal battery, so less than the 540, 360, but it's got a range extender on it. So I'll weigh it without the range extender and with the range extender. Now the range extender on this is actually 252 watts of capacity. So it actually gives you, I've just added it up on my phone because I couldn't do it mentally. That's bad, isn't it? 612 watt hours, so 72 watt hours more battery capacity. Not massive, but it is a little bit bigger than the aluminium one when you add them both together. So this is quite interesting. 18.02 kilos. Now it has got a bit of mud on it, not a huge amount, it's fairly clean, but it's got a DHR2, EXO DHR2, and a DHF at the front, so beefier tyres, no doubt, but it's 1.8 kilos lighter in this build, but with obviously a 360 watt-hour battery. And on here, we've got a 540 watt-hour battery. Pretty incredible. I'm actually really surprised. Check out the weight of this one with the range extender. 19.5 kilos. It is only 300 grams lighter than this one. So that is not as big a difference as I was thinking. Don't forget, it's got carbon rims on here, and we've got Shimano XT and XTR components on here. So on the whole, 300 grams difference, and a pretty significant difference in price, and all for 300 grams. Looks so sweet, doesn't it? Orbea know how to make some badass looking bikes. It's so minimalist, super discreet. I mean, most people wouldn't even tell. I mean, I can barely tell that it's an e-bike. Down tube is so nice and svelte, and yeah, man, they've done such a good job packaging that Shimano EP8 motor, the RS, into this bike. The colorway is pretty sick. It's like this, I don't know what you call it, like rhino kind of color with this blue just down at the bottom, neon blue. Yeah, look at that. That's such a sweet looking build. All right, let's go through it. So this one, this is the Hydro M10. Now you can see hydro formed aluminium. It actually looks so seamless up here. Almost looks like carbon, doesn't it? You can't see any welds at all. Down tube, quite thin, slightly thicker than the carbon version, so I'm told. Doesn't appear it to me, but I guess if I measured it, it'd be slightly different size. And the only welds you can actually see, just down here. And a couple on the chainstay just in there, and one just over here. But in terms of like stealthiness as an e-bike, and you know, as a carbon, it almost looks like a carbon e-bike. They've done an amazing job with that hydro forming. Looks well sweet. Then the motor area just under here. Little bash guard there. Motor is neatly tucked in there. EP8 RS, 60 Newton meters. Nice amount of punch for a lightweight e-bike. And then on the control side, we've got this EWN, whatever it's called, junction box there. Bit bulky, bit rubbish looking, to be honest with you. Hopefully we can get a new one of those at some point. And then super discreet, minimalist buttons here to change your mode. Love that. Now this model actually comes spec'd up with the Fox Factory 36. It's got the Fox Float DPS shock, Kashima coated, Shimano XT drivetrain, Shimano XT shifter, and XT brakes as well. It's using the small 180 rotors. They're pretty tiny in comparison to a lot of the stuff that e-bikes are come with, certainly when you compare it to some of the 220mm rotors. This is really designed as a trail, kind of cross-country bike, not really an enduro bike. So in my experience riding it, the 180mm rotors have been sufficient. Obviously easy to change. Wheels, aluminium race face turbine wheels. Now, I guess one of the things to mention on this bike is the tyres. This should be called, if you live in the UK, a suicide tyre, because it's just not that great. There's barely any tread on there. It's probably fine for dusty, dry, cross-country type riding, but yeah, Recon, I don't want to use that at all because there's barely any tread on there. It's not going to dig into the mud, certainly in the British winter, so that is going to have to be changed. On the front, yeah, I'll try that and see what it's like. The dissector might be okay. Whew. Yeah, man, that looks so good. Now, if you haven't seen this EP8 RS motor yet, effectively it's like the standard Shimano motor, but it's got a custom firmware on it from Orbea, and it kind of rewards high cadence in order to make the battery and energy usage super efficient. It kind of doesn't give you low down grunt if you are lazy on the cadence. So if you're spinning the pedals at like 40, 50 RPM, it's not going to give you a huge amount of assistance, but it does reward you when you start spinning at a cadence higher than around 80 to 90. Then you get the peak amount of power from this motor. And I found in my first look video on the carbon bike that actually it was a really good power to weight ratio because the bikes are lightweight e-bikes. That 60 Newton meter I felt was a real nice sweet spot, and it allows Orbea to use like non-heavy regular bike components. So there's no like e-bike specific forks or anything like that on this. They're just using regular off-the-shelf kind of components that you'd have on a everyday trail bike. So they save weight there as well. I do think that Orbea had the sweet spot in terms of the actual bike that came out and the timing of it, because the market had been primed with Specialized releasing their SL e-bike and kind of got people thinking about lightweight bikes, lightweight e-bikes, a lot of people that didn't want to fall fat. But then this came out and it had kind of like the best of both in terms of like the lightweight agility that you get from a super light e-bike, but with a more powerful motor, 60 Newton meters, nice and compact from that Shimano EP8. Now, if you are interested in a video of me comparing them and riding them, let me know. Thanks for watching, and if you want to be the first to see more content on these bikes, subscribe, and I'll catch you all soon.